Hi, welcome to my podcast entitled The Wright Experience. I'm Dr. William T. Wright Jr., the founder and host of this show. I'm now beginning my 9th year as a school superintendent and my 24th as a public school educator. Over those years, I've been fortunate enough to meet and get to work with some amazing leaders from all across the United States. The vision of this show is to share this podcast with you so that we can learn and grow from people who are leading others every day. Our initial focus will be on educational leaders, and we'll look to expand to other disciplines down the road. When you hear something that you like, please drop us a comment, click like, or if you're viewing us via YouTube, please click like, and most importantly, that subscribe button. I've been absolutely amazed and pleased with the responses that we've received thus far. This show is growing by leaps and bounds, and for that, I'm thankful to you. Tonight is episode 20 of The Wright Experience. My guest tonight is a veteran public school educator in the state of South Carolina. She served as various leaders at various levels of leadership as a principal, district office director, and most recently and currently as the superintendent of a mid-sized school district. I first met her in 2013 when I accepted my first superintendency in South Carolina. She worked as a human resources and secondary education director. My guest is Mrs. Kelly Coxe. Mrs. Kelly Coxe is a former teacher and principal. She began her career as a teacher in North South Carolina after graduating the University of South Carolina in 1992. Kelly holds a master's degree in educational leadership from Furman University and has completed coursework towards her doctorate from Clemson University. Mrs. Coxe is not only known for her leadership ability, but for her inspirational spirit. Kelly has served as the Director of Human Resources and Secondary Instruction in her hometown of McCormick, South Carolina. She then relocated to York, South Carolina, where she's had the privilege of serving as a principal and director of elementary programs. Kelly currently serves as the superintendent of York School District 1, a role that she has been in for the last 3 years. And at this time, I'd like to welcome to the Wright Experience, Mrs. Kelly Coxe. How are you?
I'm great. Good evening, Dr. Wright. Great to see you again.
Good to see you. And how are the children doing? How are the boys doing?
Oh, they're wonderful. I don't know if you remember or not, but my husband Charlie and I have 7 between us. He had 3 and I had 3, and we have Coleman together. And everybody's doing fantastic. The youngest finished his freshman year at the University of South Carolina.
Very good, very good. I remember him well. We got a lot of opportunities to talk to each other during his progression. And it's hard to believe that he's matriculated that far, but that's great. I'm glad he's doing well.
He is. He's doing well. He shocked us a little bit when he got home. He came home and announced he wasn't going to return. He wants to join the Navy. So I'm very proud to have a son that's enlisting in the Navy now.
There is nothing in the world wrong with that. We need good folks everywhere. So wish him the best in that military career for sure. So Mrs. Coxe, we're going to get right into the questions tonight. I'm certainly excited and thrilled to have you here on the Wright Experience. So tell us about this new endeavor and this new district. Well, it's actually not new anymore. I think you're in about 5 or 6 years there total, and 3 years as superintendent, now going into your 3rd year. But tell us about York School District 1.
Absolutely. I moved here to York in 2014. I came as a principal at Harold C. Johnson, one of our elementary schools. From that role, I transitioned to Director of Elementary Programs, and then into this role. I'll be honest, it was a little earlier than I thought that would happen, but when life presents an opportunity, you seize it when you can. I'm very honored and proud to be a part of this district. There are 4 York districts, and we're York 1. There's Clover, Fort Mill, and Rock Hill. Of the 4, we are the most rural of the York districts. You often hear about the rapid growth in the York area. That's not us right now. We anticipate that it's coming in this direction, but right now we are the rural. We have about 5,200 students district-wide. We have 5 elementary schools, 1 intermediate, 1 middle, and a comprehensive high school. That's actually one of our, one of our highlights of our district. We have a high school that has on campus our technology center, and it is a state-of-the-art technology center. Beautiful campus. In fact, Architectural Digest voted it the most beautiful high school in the state of South Carolina in 2017. Gorgeous complex. It is a testament to the support that this community has for our district. They really do. We are centrally located. We are the heart of the district, and the community is so very supportive of us. To tell you a little bit about us, the district itself, as I mentioned, is the rural of the 4 districts, and we account for about 40% of the land mass of York County, but only 8% of the assessed value. We're the poorer of the 4 districts, if you look at it in that matter. We have about 70% free and reduced population, and about 50% of the families in the county of York have a median income of $35,000 or less. So we have our work cut out for us, but that is absolutely not a barrier for us. The goals that we attain, the success of the district and the success of our students, we're so very proud of. As an example, just this past year, my graduating class had about 285 students in it, and they raised just less than $5 million of scholarship money.
Oh, wow.
So it's really exciting. Some great things are going on here.
Very good. So you were promoted to the superintendency in York as 2019, is that right?
That's correct. I was a mid-year. It started in January.
Okay. All right. So that gave you about a year and a half, I guess, prior to the onset of the pandemic. So talk to us about some of the wonderful achievements that your school district has achieved since your ascension to the superintendency.
Absolutely, Dr. Wright. One of the things that I think is probably, you can attest to this. Sometimes when you're talking to folks, they'll say to you, "Oh man, I can't believe you had to be a superintendent in the pandemic. That's really tough." I have a very different response. It's like, I'm thankful, and I'm thankful for the opportunity because there was no standard, and we get to set that standard. It's certainly been challenging. It has been a very heavy responsibility, a lot of fear that has come with that, making sure that you're making the right decisions for the students, for the staff, for the families within the community. But for us, it has served as a catalyst for change. So just prior to the pandemic, because I was a new superintendent, we had started working on our vision for the district, what our vision statement would be, where we wanted to be in 5 or 10 years. We started writing our strategic plan, and you would think that work would have paused. Normal operations did pause. Instead, the pandemic became a catalyst for us. We knew we had to really dig in and become the learning organization that we wanted to become. So what was a strategic plan has evolved for us into a strategic change agenda. And we have committed to becoming a learning organization and to living out our vision of to learn, to serve, and to give as one. That's really huge for us. Our motto is connected as one, and certainly in this time of social injustice, that takes on a lot of meanings for us. We are York One. We are connected as a family, as a community, and we really want to embody that for our stakeholders.
So that school district vision was beginning to be developed before the pandemic, is that right? So
that's correct.
Okay.
We started just prior to the pandemic, and we were doing, like everyone does, we were doing the state required 5-year strategic plan.
Sure.
But when the pandemic disrupted everything, we seized that opportunity to shift from a compliance plan to a true change agenda. And if I were to summarize our goal in one statement, it is to build the leadership capacity at every level within the organization. And I mean that from administrators to teachers to students. Our goal is to build the capacity at every level of the organization. When we talk about our students, the sweet spot that we're looking for is the intersection of their passion and their ability. That's when we know we've accomplished what we're trying to accomplish.
Because you got to have both. That's right.
You got to have both.
Ability without passion is not going to work well, and passion without ability also won't work well. So that's
right.
That's exactly right. So during your expansive career as a South Carolina educator, other than what you've just mentioned, what are some of your proudest moments?
Oh, wow. So I have been an educator now for 29 years. I realized that this morning when I was calculating it up. Doesn't seem like that's possible. Of the 29 years, my two longest tenures have been in McCormick and here in York. And I would say that what I am most proud of is in both of my tenures, I have worked in a district that truly does put children first. I have a heart for the underdog. I have a heart for rural education. I truly believe that public education is the cornerstone of democracy. We can get into the attacks on public education. We can talk about the shifts and the changes. And I have come to realize in my career that there is a very distinct difference between supporting public education and supporting public schools. I am a proponent of public education.
Sure. So speaking of the pandemic, you talked a little bit about this already, but the pandemic certainly taught us some valuable lessons, and you've mentioned a little bit about that already. But what are some of the things that you learned from the pandemic and that you believe will be valuable in your leadership and in public schools in general moving forward?
We learned that we can do things that we did not believe that we could accomplish.
Right. Sure.
When the pandemic started, we were not where we wanted to be in terms of technology. We had not gone one-to-one. We were actually very limited in the number of mobile devices that we had. And we literally overnight went one-to-one in grades 7 through 12. Not only did we deploy the technology, but we then developed a remote and blended learning guide that some of our neighboring districts and districts here in South Carolina reached out to us and said, hey, will you share? I have to brag for a moment on the team that we have. Our instructional team is top notch. Our operations team is top notch. I've got folks here within the district that have served in statewide capacities. They have been at the State Department. They have been part of the Office of Personalized Learning, the Office of School Transformation. I have a principal staff that is so committed to their students and to the district together. So from all of that, when we came together, we learned that we could do things that we did not think was possible. The technology that I mentioned, we're going to begin next school year one-to-one, 3rd through 12th grade. And Dr. Wright, you know, all of that's not possible if you don't have the right teachers in the classroom.
That's right.
And we have exceptional teachers in this district. It is my personal philosophy that if we get the right team in place, there's not anything that we can't accomplish.
That's exactly right. So who are some of the leaders that you depend on for advice or mentorship and so forth? Who are some over the years? I know your dad was a big time administrator for many years, so I'm sure he'd be at the top of the list for sure.
My dad is most definitely at the top of the list, John Shiflett. He was the superintendent at John Delahouse School there in McCormick. And then he came here to York prior to me and was the president of York Children's Home. So that's actually, I followed him here to York. In addition to my father, you would be one of those role models. I appreciate, you would be.
Thank you for the shameless plug there. I appreciate
that. I do appreciate you. You were very formative in the development of my leadership style, and I appreciate that. I would also have to mention two others. Dr. Vernon Prosser, who was the superintendent when I came to this district. He mentored me exclusively. I mean, I really thought a lot of Dr. Prosser. In addition would be Dr. Tom Falconberry. Now, I don't know if you met him or not. He had been in the district long before, and had moved to Own, was actually at the collegiate level for a bit, and then came back here as interim. So he was my most immediate predecessor. Wonderful, kind, gentle man who has taught me a lot.
Good, yeah. Certainly know Dr. Prosser very well. Very good friend of mine, and we had some good times when I was in McCormick for sure.
Definitely.
Yeah, good.
He's in Furman. He's at Furman University teaching.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right. Very good. So, Mrs. Coxe,
I want to mention one more thing. Can I interrupt and mention one more thing?
Sure.
As you recall, in McCormick, we had the Western Piedmont Consortium.
Absolutely.
Here at York, we have the Old English Consortium. And I have to say it's a very valuable consortium. We work together very closely. We brainstorm together. We run ideas past one another. And the other 3 York superintendents, Dr. Cook, Dr. Epps, and Dr. Sheila Quinn, all are extremely valuable. I believe you know J.R. Green. He's part of the Old English Consortium.
I do. In fact, Dr. Green was a prior guest on our podcast a couple of months ago. Very good. Know him well. Yeah, very good leader. Okay, so let's go here. If you had the opportunity to give advice and pointers for success to a brand new superintendent, what would you say?
I would say there are 3 qualities that I think that any leader, not just a superintendent, but any leader should hold on to tightly and passionately. That is your authenticity, your courage, and trustworthiness. You know, there are a lot of things that you can be taught, but those 3 things have to be at the core of who you are as a leader. This can be a tough role, you know that. And it can be, I have learned, people kept telling me, but you have to experience to understand it. It can be a lonely role. There are not a lot of people that you can openly talk to. That's why those mentors are so very important. You can find yourself pulled in a lot of directions. And there are a lot of, especially right now, there are a lot of political winds that want to throw you in different, or divide you even, divide your entire district. That's why I think your authenticity, your courage, and your trustworthiness really have to be the core of who you are. And for me, I would define being authentic as when you lead from your core beliefs. You know you're clear about your directional system, and that doesn't waver.
Right. Yeah. No matter which way the winds blow, we got to have consistency when it comes to that. That's absolutely. Absolutely. So, what's been the most surprising aspect of the superintendency thus far?
I honestly, I'm not sure that I can answer that with because it's been such a whirlwind. When I was named in January, and that first year was a very tragic year for us. We had one of our faculty members tragically killed in an automobile accident. We lost several of our students unexpectedly in accidents. And then we thought we were moving into a normal next school year. And that's when the pandemic occurred. So it's been an eventful ride. I can't say that there's been any one thing that surprised me the most. It's been the fact that no 2 days ever look alike.
Right. Exactly. And that in itself is a surprising aspect. Principalships they're kind of like that, but yet somewhat predictable. Superintendency is a whole nother thing, isn't it? So
it is.
Yeah. So what about recruiting and retaining personnel? What do you think is the most essential element to being able to do that?
I think that when you're looking, your district needs to be a desirable place to be. And I am very fortunate. There's some factors that you really can't control there. Part of that is location of your district. We are in a prime location. We're just south of Charlotte. But beyond that, it is building a culture that people want to be part of. I mentioned to you earlier, the connected as one. We truly live out that. You've had the opportunity to be in multiple districts as well, and you'll often hear folks say, we have a family atmosphere. Not only do we say it, we live it.
Sure.
When I first moved here, I was blown away by that. Everybody genuinely cares for one another. The community supports the district. It's such a camaraderie, such a relationship that I'm just not quite sure how to put words to, except how strong that is.
Sure.
I want to be real clear when we say York, we reside, the district itself, in York proper, but our attendance zone covers 5 communities. We're Hickory Grove, Sharon, we're Sharon, we're Smyrna, we're McConnells, and we are York. And those 5 communities come together, and that forms the basis of our Connected as One.
Wow. Okay. Very good. Very good. So sounds like you've got here, we call that in our district being all in for learning, and we're the same way. We have Winton, that's our county seat. We've got a Hosky, Murfreesboro, and then we have Harrodsville. We've got Como. We've got the little small towns, very similar in retrospect to McCormick, in that you've got McCormick proper, and then you've got these what I call drive-through towns that are all around. So absolutely.
That's right.
Yeah.
I want to mention while I have you here, you can ask about the recruitment. I can't miss an opportunity to talk about our relationship with Winthrop University.
Oh, very good.
Winthrop is right next door to us, and most of our schools are NetScope schools, which means they partner with us for our professional development and learning. In addition, we just entered, and we're really excited about this, a pilot program with Winthrop this year called the Aspire program. Through that program, we're able to get provisional certificates for folks before they've completed their teaching certification. When Winthrop students are teacher interns, they can come and work in our district with a provisional certificate. So it's been a really strong recruitment tool for us. We host Winthrop interns here. So it's been really beneficial, particularly this year in such a challenging year to recruit teachers.
Sounds similar to our relationship with Chowan University. So that's outstanding, which is in our county as well. And how far is Winthrop away from is it in your county or adjacent?
It's in York County. It's actually in Rock Hill School District's zone, but it's only about 20 minutes from us. Okay.
All right. Very good. Very good. So, Mrs. Coxe, is there anything else that you can think of about your work, about the work that you're doing in York, that I've not covered tonight that you'd like to share with the audience?
I've got a little bragging point I want to tell you about.
Very good.
So I mentioned I mentioned York Comprehensive High School, our high school, and the adjoining technology center, Floyd D. Johnson Technology Center. They share the one campus. So we're able to offer not only the traditional career programs, but we have cosmetology, we have welding, we have machine tool. Most recently, our newest program is the line worker program. Oh, wow. We partnered with Clover School District, which is another York school district. We crossed district lines. We partnered with York Tech, which is the technical school here in York County, and several business and industries to open up the first line worker program on a high school campus for students. We have kids that graduate from that program, certified line workers that walk straight into the employment industry with very well-paying jobs. Super, super proud of that program.
Very good. And we're talking about electrical line. Is that right, to be clear?
That's correct. Overhead lines, underground lines. Yes, sir.
All right. That's outstanding. That sounds like a great program that I'd like to hear more about. Maybe we can get some of that done here.
I'd be happy to share that with you.
Very good. Very good.
Would not be possible without industry partners. They helped us finance that program.
That's right. That's right. Probably some of the local electrical co-ops. Is that right?
That is correct. York Electric, Duke Energy, several of our local businesses.
All right. Thank you very much. Yeah, that sounds outstanding. And we had a state superintendent here who who talked to us about the careers that line workers can have, and also the shortage of them.
That's right.
A few years ago. So that's a growing field and a necessary field. We all certainly need access to electricity for sure, don't we?
That's right.
And connectivity. So yeah, absolutely.
And you never know. It's kind of interesting. On a side note, the impact of the work we do. We mentioned earlier my children. One of my middle sons lives down at Horry County in Conway, and he was so interested by our line worker program for high school students that he went to HTC, Horry County Tech, got his line worker certification, is now working for Horry Telecommunications. So that impact spreads all over the place.
How about that? We do have an impact in places that we often do not know. That's for sure.
That's exactly right.
That's for sure. Mrs. Coxe, if you hold on with me for a minute, I'll come right back and we'll close out the show. My guest next week is Ms. Constance Jones, who is the CEO of Noble Charter Schools Network in Chicago, Illinois, and also happens to be my cousin. The Noble Charter Network of schools has 18 schools at the secondary level, and Ms. Jones is the CEO of the network. I look forward to the experience and having her aboard the Wright Experience. Mrs. Coxe, first of all, I want to say to you that I'm very proud of the success that you have created for yourself in York District 1, as well as continuing to serve the students of South Carolina. We met about 8 years ago, I think it was, almost exactly. And I've always known that you were an outstanding leader, and I'm very grateful to see the progress and the leadership that you're continuing to provide for the students of South Carolina. So congratulations to you for doing that. And certainly I am most appreciative of the fact that you agreed to be a part of the Wright Experience.
Thank you, Dr. Wright. I appreciate that. Part of what you said is possible because of those we rub elbows with. And I appreciate the support of everyone that I've crossed paths with. I also want to, before you let me go, I have to say that I am so fortunate to have a board of trustees, 7-member board, who truly supports us becoming a learning organization. They are completely behind us on that group of very dedicated individuals. And I thank them for their support and their belief in me to allow me to have the opportunity to lead this district.
Very good. That's an important aspect. School boards are crucial to the success of school districts and forwarding education in communities. So that is absolutely the case. Well, thank you. Thank you for being my guest. And I thank you, the viewers, for viewing the Wright Experience. Good evening.